Hi, everyone. My name is Adriana Martinez, and I'm going to be teaching artists for today for this lesson. And this lesson is called Paint Your Culture, specifically your cultural heritage. And I'm going to explain exactly what that means right now. So I hope everybody's doing really good. So to start out, I am deeply grateful to all of you for allowing me to work with you. My own cultural background is very diverse, and feeling that I didn't belong to one single place or culture led me to embrace all of my heritage as a unique gift. So today we're going to be working based on that. And this is a good moment to pause the video and get what you need. I'm going to let you know the supply that you need for today. You're going to need a piece of paper and a pencil, an eraser. You might want to get a sharpener and have everything close by. You are going to need a color. And this lesson is very flexible because you can use watercolor, meaning you would want to have it in tablet form or smaller containers, which are more liquid, a little palette, which you could use a disposable plate for. What else? Oh, brushes, at least 3 different kinds of brushes. I have lots, but you don't need a lot. You just need like a rather big brush or round brush that's going to hold a lot of like water maybe and color. Lighting's not helping here. There we go. And like a medium-sized one. Getting really close to the camera here. And then a thinner one. They don't have to look exactly like mine. This is way better. See, you can see it closer up here. See, and the quality of the brush doesn't really matter. What matters is that you have 3 different sizes and shapes. Some are square, some are round. And water, a container for water. If you do not have watercolor, that is totally fine. You can use crayons. You can use color pencils, and even ink. Like very thin markers. That works too. So like I said, my name is Adriana, and I've been teaching for more than 13 years, and I'm really excited to be here with you guys. So we are going to talk about culture and heritage. What does that mean? So it's different for everyone. Let's state that from the beginning. I'll tell you what it means to me, and that might give you an idea. Some people discuss this in their family or in their community, and others don't, which is fine. So culture, for me, has to do not necessarily with religion or tradition, but more so beliefs and what makes me feel connected to my ancestors. And for that, I think maybe like a holiday also could be, or a special celebration in your community. For me, it's Day of the Dead in Mexico. That's where I feel a stronger connection. But for you, it could be, I don't know, for example, the Jewish community, they have their own traditions. The Catholic religion has their own traditions. So if you're religious or your family's religious, you might feel very connected to that. What else? So in Latin America, we have so much to choose from. And also, we can represent visually. We can represent our culture visually through music, food, textiles, patterns, symbols, elements. So there's so much to choose from. So it's what brings joy to your heart, what makes you feel excited. words, books, stories. So anything that makes you feel an upliftment and gratitude towards. That's the theme for today. So we're going to start with our lesson, which would be a warm-up, a really short warm-up. Think of a word, and you can write it down. That's what I suggest. And you don't need to write it down. It's not really mandatory here to write it down, but it helps the creative process. What is a word that comes to mind if you speak another language other than English that represents cool? So for me, chido represents cool, and that's like slang Mexican Spanish. And I've worked with so many kids from all over the world, and they come up with the most fun words, and I get a big smile out of them. So that is always fun. So once you've had that word written down and you have all your supply, we are going to do a short breathing exercise, which is filling your belly 3 times. So we inhale through our nose, and then we exhale through our mouth. And we try to fill up our belly like a big balloon. So we're going to do this 3 times, starting right now. 1, 2, and 3. Really good. So this makes us feel relaxed, and it lets us be more creative and lets us focus on the lesson of the day. A thing I did not mention was we're going to learn some art techniques and elements of art, like perspective, volume, and how that fits into a space, which is called composition. So here we go. So we've discussed a little bit what cultural heritage means to you. And now it's your turn to sketch. Make a sketch, like a brainstorming of ideas of what comes to mind. And it could be an abstract form. It could be very literal, like if it's people, you can draw people. If it's a textile pattern, you can come up with your own. So here you're gonna pause the video so you can have 5 to 10 or 15 minutes of drawing, sketching loosely. What comes to mind? So you can do that right now. Now that you've drawn, you've made your sketch, which is very, it serves as a brainstorm. It's not like a formal drawing. So I don't want you to get too worried about it. A very important tip to remember is to connect with what you feel, what feels right to you. And remember, there are no mistakes in art. So, because sometimes what we think is as a mistake is a very fun invitation to be creative. Give me a second. I got my notes here, so I don't get too distracted. So now that you've sketched the ideas, try to think of what colors come to mind. So colors are really, really important. So maybe you can note what colors you want to include, or even make a little, scribble of the colors that you like. And it's called a little a reference palette. Okay. And so as I am looking at my notes, I would like for you to look at the background. You can see a piece in the background of an older lady. And see if you can note, see what elements you can find there. Like what shapes, what colors, what does it make you feel? What does it make you think of? So questions, making these questions in art is super important. There are no wrong answers. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the old lady that you see in the background. She is my great grandmother. I'm going to move the computer a little bit here. There. She is my great grandmother, and she was almost 100 years old. And you can see a snake wrapping around her, and it's gold. She's got spiral earrings. There's flowers, and there's like a crown, and then there's like where you can see the reddish background. You see little squares, which I wanted to represent like a constellation of stars. So all of those elements represent something to me. And she was a very important figure in my life, and her birthday was very close to Day of the Dead holiday. So you can see how I laid out the different parts. Even though she is centered, which I usually do not recommend in a composition, I tried to make it a little bit more uneven with the background. So keep that into consideration. I tell you about this painting because that's a good reference for you if you're thinking about putting in symbols like animals or flowers, different colors. If you're thinking about including a person maybe that you feel very connected to. The snake in Latin American culture, pre-Columbian times, represents, meaning for the indigenous people especially, it represents like the cycle of life. So being okay with the coming and the going of new people and old people, and learning how to celebrate it. So even though sometimes it's really sad, we also celebrate their lives. So that is a very good example of what cultural heritage means to me. A little bit about what we're going to continue to learn here are the symbols and the elements of culture. You'll be able to appreciate the joy and the expression of a painting and how to create your own. So as I'm talking, I want you to prepare a new page, unless you want to work on the same sketch that you already did. You can start putting in some color, which would be really, really fun. In this, you could spend 5 minutes before we check in, up until 10 or 15 that it might take you. So you can pause the video right now. So if you hear me right now, it's because you unpaused the video. And here we're brainstorming. We've brainstormed different ways to come up with this idea and this concept. We've become aware what makes us feel appreciative and grateful for our heritage or cultural heritage, and create a work of art that reflects our community or our culture. So up until this point, you have experienced the process, which includes having open discussions about cultural background and that of others. And we're in the process of making a meaningful art piece that we are starting from scratch. Remember, curiosity will open the door to understanding, compassion, kindness, and knowledge about yourself and others. And this is always really exciting. Okay, good. So remember, I would not go much bigger than this. Maybe you did, which is fine. But this gives us a good hour maybe of work, the size here. So as you're working on your piece, you should be halfway through, and at least with the first layer of color, your piece does not have to look like that, like the one that I'm showing you right here. But I am going to use it as a reference. And here you can see volume. You can see volume in her neck. And the dimensions, right? You can see that her face is not flat. You can see that it sticks out a bit, like my face is doing here. And underneath her chin, you can see shadowing, which helps with the perspective, right? So different kinds of perspective. If I'm facing you in this size, this looking at you with my head towards the looking towards my page, and then looking up towards you, that's a different perspective of my nose, and it changes the shape of how you perceive my lips, my eyebrows, my head. See, if I lift it, it's a different perspective. If I lift it this way, it's a different perspective, and so on and so forth. So this is called perspective. And volume represents that an object or a person or an animal is not flat. A page is flat. It's two-dimensional, right? My arm is not two-dimensional. It's three-dimensional. And you achieve that with having a lighter part and then a darker part. So the flowers that you can see right about here are very colorful, and they're way more flat than the skin. And so is the snake, which I created some cross-hatching to create some shadow, but it's minimal. And I did that on purpose because I wanted all the focus to be on her face. So you can take that into consideration. Where does your eye go to immediately? So for me, it goes immediately to the mouth and the eyes and the chin. Where do you want the attention to go when you're creating your piece? And maybe you don't know right now. You can always edit that at the end. So what do you feel grateful for about your cultural heritage? What elements are important for you? What symbols are important for you? What brings you joy? The cool thing about art is that we don't have to use our words for everything. We can use color, shapes, elements, and symbols. And you could also be doing something abstract, which is fine. It could be just colors or a pattern. You can pause the video right now so you can focus on finishing your piece, which should take you 10 to 15 minutes. So I'll see you in a little bit. Now that you've unpaused the video, that means you're towards the end of your piece. And I want to tell you how proud I am, because it is not an easy thing to bring those things out of one's heart or memory and put it into paper. So now, up until this point, you have now completed a unique piece of art with deep meaning and connection to your ancestral roots in your world. It is a great achievement, and that deserves celebration. I'm going to ask you some questions so you can consider them, and you might not know the answers to, and that's okay. So what art technique or art concept in this case did you learn or improve that you feel proud of? 2, What are you grateful for from your cultural heritage that makes you feel unique? 3, what differences and similarities did you find amongst your classmates and yourself? So, thank you so much, guys. It was such a pleasure to be able to share this lessons that is so close to my heart. And I can't wait to see your pieces.